more than 2.5 hours to get through, and if there's not a lot of questions, we might be able to shave a few minutes off of that. No, in all reality, it took us about 40 minutes on Monday when we did it. So anyway, I'll get rolling. So for those of you who have not seen this tool before, I'm gonna kind of go through this like I'm dealing with people who haven't seen these tools at all before, as far as our previous version goes. This is our customer information page. This is where you get all your project information, your burn time information, your type of project information, the type of information that you guys provide on other retrofit projects that you work on with other utilities. So it's nothing new. I'm going to go ahead and just pop in, start in the critical area here with the project name. This is called an office retro. Okay. This date here, you can use this box or you can skip it. It's entirely up to you folks. We use it, I believe, so that when the project comes in and it's complete and ready for submission, so we can start the process of pre-inspections or directly going to the step of issuing an incentive offer. We use this to date when we get that project. It helps us tracking-wise to make sure that we're getting these projects processed in a timely fashion. It's kind of a method of measurement for us. So that's an optional box for you. This is one you're going to have to do on every project if you want to see an incentive. This is where you determine how the lighting tool is going to pull up the information. So you're going to want to start, 90% of the stuff you guys are going to do is going to be a retrofit project. So we're just going to go ahead and do that for today. If you have a major renovation project, basically that's where the existing space lighting is not meeting the needs of the space and it needs to be changed. That could be considered a major renovation project. So if you're in a situation like that, you should talk to us before you enter the tool if you think it might need to be considered a major renovation, because the incentive structure is a little different and it will definitely have an impact on the incentive. So, and then new construction, obviously if it's something coming out of the ground, that's a no-brainer, it's new construction. But we're into retrofit because, again, this is the lion's share of the stuff you guys are probably going to be working on. So as you can see, when I typed in retrofit, it popped up a couple of tabs down here at the bottom that weren't there before. So now that we've got them there, you can see that we can go and enter our existing and proposed conditions, so our existing lighting. As you can see, it pops up a little stop sign here, so to speak. It's not really a stop sign, but it says basically you're going to have to complete these fields before you're going to get any calculations coming out of the calculator. So we have to go back and take care of these guys on the customer information tab. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK there. Go back here and take care of those, those fields that it's mentioned we needed to do. So we just work our way down. I know rate schedule is one of the ones that said, so we've got account meter rate, account number, meter number here, and rate schedule here. So I'm just going to go with the schedule 24. It's a fairly common one for a lot of small commercial users. Now we'll go back here and see, now it took that one off the list. Now we have to go project cost, space type, and size. So project cost, I'm just going to throw some numbers in here because I haven't worked up a bid on this yet, so I have no idea where it's going to be, but I want it to calculate something, so I'm going to throw a number in there so that it'll help me calculate an incentive. Okay, and then the other item that was on that list was space type and size, so we're going to go here. And you're going to want to select multiple spaces, whole building, or exterior only. Exterior only is fairly obvious. It's an outside site lighting project, wall packs, pole lights, that kind of stuff. The whole building is if you've got a facility, say a 50,000 square foot warehouse where basically it's just a warehouse. There might be a 500 square foot office in there or break room or something, but it's a warehouse. So it's all got the same burn times. It's all got the same HVAC loads. It's all basically the same. That's when you're going to use whole building. Multiple spaces, a prime example for this one would be, say maybe a hospital, perhaps. Let's go ahead and enter some of the things out of this drop down that we would find in a hospital. Well, there's going to be a cafeteria. You know, that's always in a hospital pretty much. I haven't been to one that doesn't have one. There's also going to be obviously the main hospital space. And a lot of the hospitals, any of the ones that seems like I've been in, touring or auditing or whatever, they all seem to have like clinics. They've got the hospital and they've got clinics within the facility as well that maybe don't operate on the same hours of operation, or have different HVAC loads possibly, depending on what they're doing in there. And there's going to be warehouse space in there because they always have a warehouse. So then what you want to do is approximate the square footages of each of these spaces. So I'm just going to run through and do that real quick. Actually, we'll just do about a 3,000 square foot cafeteria. It doesn't need to be bigger than the hospital, right? Okay, so obviously that's the whole front footprint of the hospital with all the different spaces defined. The reason why we need to do these multiple spaces is because when when the calculator, all the calculations and algorithms in the background are coming up with the estimated annual savings, it takes the heating and cooling factors into play. Because if you're taking out 100,000 watts of lighting and going back with 25,000 watts of lighting in your retrofit project, that's going to have an impact on your heating load for all your equipment inside the facility. Heating and cooling load. It's going to make the heater have to work harder to heat it up in the wintertime and make the air conditioner not have to work quite so hard in the summertime. So it affects your annual savings. So that's why we have to do that. Okay, so let's try entering our project information now. Well, this is kind of a bug that I just found. It shouldn't let us do it right now because it's well, I guess it could, but the reason why I say that is typically you got to enter operation schedules. So I'm going to do that real quick. This is a hospital, so they're going to have just a few holidays. So we got 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the A type areas. That'd be like your main hospital hallways and stuff like that, where they're on all the time. Then we've got some office spaces. Then we got some storage areas where they're just in and out of there a couple times a day, usually not too much. Okay, so that gives you an idea of what we've got entered there. The seasonal, this would be for a situation where you've got, say, a school would be a prime example. Well, let's just pretend some numbers here. Let's say that the school's on 10 hours a day, 5 days a week, so that'd be this B schedule for 46 weeks of the year. Seems like a good number, right? And during those 46 weeks, they have about, well, I have kids in school, and it seems like they have about that many holidays, but I know it's probably more like about this, I'm guessing. And then let's just say during the summer, the lights are on an hour a day, 7 days a week, which I know is not accurate, but we're just doing an example here. So what that'll do is that'll calculate a seasonal schedule for you. So that's how you work up your seasonal schedule for those spaces that have a part of the year where they're on more, and then another part of the year where they're not on as much. So these schedules are here. You got A, B, C, D, E. D and E we're not using, and then we've got seasonal S right here. Okay, so all those seasonal schedules we just entered now show up here. This is a new feature that wasn't available on the old one. It used to show up on a different page. You had to go back and forth between the previous page and this page in order to see it. So the nice thing about having it here is you can see your schedule. That way, if you forget which one was which, you can just pop up there and take a look. So we're going to start by working left to right across the page and populating our information. So we start with area A, and we're kind of working in the hospital here. That's the example we're working off of. So let's say hallway, coffers. And this is kind of for you guys, kind of for us too. When we have to do a pre-inspection, the better description of the space and the type of fixture you put in here, the better it's going to be for our inspector to find them. And that's good, because if he can't find them, he's either going to say they weren't there, or they're going to make you prove they're there, or make you show them where they're at or something. So it's just good if you can break down the spaces to a reasonable size based on type and the area, and then put a little description in here so it can help the inspector find what they're looking for. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and build a fixture in here. And what you do is you click on the cell where you want to put it, you click on the light bulb, and then you just start working through the drop downs and options. So in this hospital, they have T8s already. We are working on an interior space, an interior fixture right now, hallway troffers. They are a fluorescent T8 4-foot. And like I said, troffers, so we're going to go down to troffer. They are currently a 3-lamp troffer, and they're using full wattage, 32 waters, with an instant start normal ballast. And currently they have no controls on. Those fixtures are on 24/7. So once you've selected all the criteria that apply, you have to select something on all of them, or else it won't let you go forward. You click Add Update Equipment, and it drops it in there for you. Then you enter your 25 troffers quantity that's in that particular hallway. So we've got our existing done. See, that was not insurmountable. We can get through this. And then we move on to the proposed side. And we're going to go ahead and retrofit these bad boys. Well, are we going to retrofit, replace, or do a retrofit kit or two? What are we going to do? As you can see in the drop down here, there's a lot of options. Well, a decent amount of options anyway. Controls only, that's not what we're doing right now. Fluorescent exit sign, case lighting, no, that's not what we're doing. If you get down here to where it says LED fixture, these are all new fixtures. So this is for if you're doing a fixture replacement, you'll choose LED fixture, and then the one that most closely corresponds. In our situation, LED fixture troffer. Okay. Now, if we were doing a retrofit kit, troffer retrofit kit instead, then you go down here and select LED retrofit kit troffer. And then they also have a subcategory in that, or another category of that, which is a troffer volumetric kit. So there's another option, retrofit kit. You go down here and you got LED tubes. So if you're doing T8 LED tubes, if you're doing a line voltage one, you're going to do a type B. If you're doing a ballast driven tube, you're going to do the type A. If you're doing a LED tube with a separate driver, kind of like a ballast, except not a ballast, an actual driver for that LED tube, you'll do a type C. But in our situation, we already said we're going to do a fixture because we want to sell them a fixture. That's the right way to go in this situation. Okay, so then you got to enter your wattage. You click on the words enter wattage, and it pulls up this window for you. You enter your wattage of your fixture. And now that we're on the proposed side, because we already did the existing side, we're over here on the proposed side. Let me move this, proposed equipment. Are you going to be using any controls devices? If you are, then this is where you select them at. For now, we're not going to do it, just so I can show you how that goes in. Okay, so we've got Schedule A, which is this schedule here that's not showing up right now, so that's a little bug that we need to work out, but we'll get that done. It's in this space. Here's your fixtures existing, quantity. There's your proposed, there's your quantity. And here's where you're going to populate your manufacturer name and your exact part number so that we can verify that the products you're using are on a qualified product list. Feel free to populate a product ID off the DLC too if you want. We don't mind it when you provide that. We're totally okay with that. As you can see, this shows the fixture incentive. So it's 12 cents per kilowatt hour saved. Your incentive is $12.4760 currently on this project. I'm going to play with a couple numbers here just to show you guys what happens. let's say if the project was only, again, I'm just making these numbers up, only that much. We changed the cost, it went down. As you can see, the fixture incentive went down because this 1 year simple payback cap was applied. It's one of the rules within our program is that if it falls below a 1 year simple payback, then the incentive is prorated, it's reduced. So that's what it gets down to right there. So you'll want to watch that to make sure that your costs are in line with the scope of work and the incentive appears to be in line with what you're doing. Some new numbers that we have on the sliding tool that we didn't have before is this simple payback without incentive number and this 0.24 cents cost per kilowatt hour. Projects may not be approved. They will initially be rejected until they have been reviewed if the simple payback without incentive is not below 8 years. So let's say our cost was way higher. See how we got us all yellowed out? Yellow's bad on this page. You don't want to see yellow. We have a 15-point-year payback on this scope of work, which is just 25 fixtures being retrofit. So it's showing 0 incentive. Okay, so yellow bad, white good in this situation, I guess. It's just something you need to be paying attention to. The goal is to have this below 35 cents per cost per kilowatt hour. But this is a deal breaker right here. You need to submit it. We might be able to prove it. It'll have to be reviewed, but it's always a mark you need to try to be getting under. Okay. So if you'll notice, we've got columns over here for controls. These are our incentives for adding occupancy sensors, daylight harvesting, advanced controls. So it shows them over here, but they're blank. Well, they're blank partially for a couple reasons. We have no controls assigned here. So let's assign some controls. Well, I have to select the field I'm working on. That's the field I'm working on. Now I can go there. So all we have to do now is go, okay, well, I'm going to add an aux sensor in here. Bam. Nice, quick, and easy. You don't have to recreate the whole part number or anything. You just add aux sensor. Well, if you'll notice, nothing came up over here in controls. Don't be alarmed. That's actually the way it's supposed to be. What we do now, with the way this is laid out, is this was at 12 cents a kilowatt hour, but when we added controls, it went up to 14. So if you watch, I'll go ahead and just change it right back. So it popped back down to 12 cents kilowatt hour. So that's where the controls on the standard program measures are going to be reflected at. That's where the controls amount's going to be reflected at. Now, say you have a situation, let's do this same line here, except we're going to do it in LED tubes this time to give you a comparative example. And we've got the nice feature of control, copying and pasting. That didn't work so well in the previous tool. It works a little bit better in here. You can copy anything and paste anything in these columns here from operating schedule over to quantity existing. You can't copy and paste all the way across the line because it's got formulas in here and it'll stop you from doing it. So all you can do it in this section here. You can do it in this yellow highlighted section here or in this column here. It does give you the opportunity to speed some stuff up a little bit here. So this is another hallway, and we're going to do LED tubes in this one because they got some fancy fixtures that they want to keep. And we're going to go with the line voltage LED tube. So this is going to be a type B. And we're going to go from a 3 lamp to a 3 lamp. We're going to enter wattage of, let's go 15 watts a piece. And it's line voltage, so it's NA. Then we're going to add equipment. Okay, so as you can see, for a line voltage LED tube, the incentive per lamp is $2.55. So if you take $2.55 times 3 lamps times 25 fixtures, you will get the fixture incentive of 190, 125. But as you can see, we're capping again. So we need to adjust the cost up so we can see the whole incentive amount. As you can see, it matches across there because it's no longer capping. Okay, so let's add controls to this measure. Let's say we wanted to add an aux sensor to this hallway as well. And we select occupancy, add update equipment. It changed it there. And as you can see, this stayed the same because this is one of what we call an instant incentive or midstream program. So it's a deemed measure. You do this, you get this dollar amount. You do that, you get that dollar amount. That's a deemed measure. Then you go over here and you can see that the incentive is now calculated over here on this measure because it's not accounted for over here like it was with the fixture. So that's what this column's for. That's why you're going to prescribe controls over here on some, and some of them it's going to show out over here, and others it's just going to change the rate that's in here. So that's just the explanation of where that stuff's going to show up at. Okay, so that kind of shows you how to do that stuff. Let's go ahead and just do an exterior fixture real quick. Oh, something that I didn't note on the previous page, but it does show here, is the X and the Y schedule. These are auto-populated. They're shown right here. The X is 24/7, 365, no holidays. The Y is your dusk to dawn, no holidays. So this would be like your exterior lighting on a photo cell. And this would be a good application here would be exit signs or emergency lights. You know, sometimes they'll leave a troffer or two in a room or an area that's on 24/7. So it's a night light. You would want to put those into the X category as far as your operating schedule goes. Let's go with exterior. Let's go with a pole. Yeah, don't pay attention to my typing skills, folks. Okay, so we're going to do a 400 watt metal halide fixture. It's exterior. So I selected HID, then exterior. Then we go down here. We're going to go with a metal halide, a good old probe start. And pole mount. 1 lamp per fixture. 400 watt. There's our ballast type, no controls on it. Dusk to dawn sensor does not qualify as a control because that is code required, either that or else a time clock. So there's no incentives for controls that are basically code required. Okay, so we've got our 400 watt metal halide wall or pole mount fixture there. Could be a shoebox or a flood, doesn't matter. It's just a pole mount as far as this thing's concerned. And we're going to relamp it. We're going to put one of those fancy corncob light bulbs into it. Let's see if we can find one of those. LED HID replacement. And we're going to say greater than or equal to 150 watt. Yeah, let's say we're going to put 151 watt in there. So then it's going to be 1 lamp into your wattage. There you go. There's our lamp in there now. Shows our savings. So it shows our total incentive of $60. And if we toggle over here a bit, you can see that it says $60 a lamp. It's not capped, so we're just getting the full incentive. And there's no controls on that fixture, so there's nothing here. Obviously, if we were going to go into that fixture again, and all we would have to do really is once you figure out the nomenclature, you can just type it in there and it should pick it up. I wonder if it's cap sensitive. Must be. I don't know. Like I said,
there might be logic within the tool because occupancy sensors are not common in exterior in our projects.
That we can add it this way, huh? Huh.
Try the exterior dimming.
Oh, that's what it's got to be. You're right. You can't just do it with an aux sensor. Exterior dimming is the only one that works outside. Thank you, Danita, for piping up. I appreciate that. Okay, so then it gives us our 7 cents per kilowatt hour controlled to give us our incentive right there. So that's how you get that. Next to show. On this screen, you have access to creating your general application here and creating a summary report. The general application is required on all projects prior to an incentive offer being issued, prior to us doing a pre-inspection. And I'm sure most of you have seen the form. I'll go ahead and create one just to show it to you real quick. Actually, I'm going to cheat a little bit. I got one from yesterday that I'm just going to pull over here that we can look at. So there's the general application. A lot of the stuff, if you fill out the customer information tab on the form that we're working on, it will automatically populate a whole lot of the information on here. Basically, all it's going to leave blank is this, where the customer has to sign. It'll leave this blank here. This is only to be filled out if the incentive is to be assigned someone other than what's filled out up here, okay? This is another section that the customer needs to fill out. We have to have taxpayer identification information. So this is a good way to have, if you print it out of the document like this, it's a good way to have it mostly completed. It saves your customer some time filling it out, and usually that helps them get it back to you quicker. Okay, so that's one form that's required, easily accessible right out of here. You can save it as a PDF and then email it, or you can print it out and handle it that way. Project summary report. This is kind of like our dog and pony show at the end once you've got all your stuff put together. So if we had the lighting tool completely populated, it would show the customer side information here, your information here, and then the project information here. This is nice about this layout here is it shows a nice $1,600 savings per year right there, slaps them in the face, hopefully gets their attention. Shows their incentives right there. Then we got their KWH usage or savings down here as well. Another thing that shows is your simple payback, which are, these are key numbers. These three, in my opinion, that customers like to see. So it's nice that they have them all kind of not mixed in with a bunch of other stuff that people don't necessarily want to see. Down at the bottom here, we've got the process steps, some direction down here. It shows in the first one here, hopefully you guys can read this, review this assessment report with your auditor. It's got a check mark next to it. So basically that's just indicating, yeah, that's done. If you've got this printed out and you're showing it to your customer, you're reviewing it because we're considering you the auditor. Then it shows the steps to go through next to get the process done. It's a nice reminder for us when we're out in the field of the steps, especially some of you folks that work on lots of different programs. It's nice to have this right there at your fingertips so you can remember what you need to do next when you're working with Pacific Power in Washington State. So you can review that, and maybe it'll save a phone call from a customer saying, what do I do next, when they can just look down here. But more than likely, they're just going to call anyway because that's what they do, right? Okay, so this report's nice, but there's more to it if you actually click here and do the Create Summary Report. And I created one of those. Let me see if I've got it handy here. I think I might have deleted that because my desktop was getting too full. So we're going to go ahead and create that one. You do Create Summary Report. I'm just going to throw it on my desktop for now. Office Retrofit Report. So I went ahead and put that on my desktop, but it's going to pop up in the window now so we can look at it. This first part's identical to what we already saw looking at it electronically. This is the part you get by generating this report. You get your scope of work document. When I was doing sales of these projects previously in a previous life, I like to have this to show my scope of work that I was quoting to the contractor, to the end user. It just basically provided them with a list of what I had included. Sometimes it saves you from missing stuff, and sometimes it helps you determine that maybe they don't want the entire scope of work done. You can just go through and check off the stuff that they actually want to do at this point in time. This should be populated right here with the manufacturer and part number information that we talked about populating in the Excel spreadsheet, the lighting tool. It's a good document too to give your electricians when you're on site and they need to know what to do and what not to do, especially if maybe there's part of the building that's not to be done. This provides them direction. Close out of that. Back into the tool. Another nice feature of this tool that I would have loved to have had when I was a distributor salesperson is the sort function here. If you, right now it's on select all, so it's doing everything. But if you just want to see this measure, so you can see how many you have on here, it isolates that and just displays that. Now, right now it doesn't bring much value because we've got, what, 3 fixture types on here? And you can see it all on one screen, so it'd be pretty easy to build a bill of material off of this. However, in a large facility, you will frequently have many of the same measures on multiple lines. You may have 2 here. You get down here, you got like 4 more on line 42, 3 more on line 38 or whatever, and not having to go through and sort through and pick them all out in order to come up with your bill of material. I think that's a valuable feature that this particular program has that it didn't used to have. So I'm all over that and enjoying that particular function. Okay, so I'm going to stop for a second and see what I may have forgotten, if any of my counterparts would like to chime in. And do any of you have any questions about what we've talked or what I've talked about so far? Okay, looks like it's clear as mud so far. That's fantastic. The rest of this, you go through and you just click on each box and put what needs to go in there. If there's a drop down, I suggest you use it. Every once in a while, if you don't use a drop down, you just type something in. I had a tool come into me earlier today where the person didn't use the drop down here. They typed in retrofit, and because they had typed it in, it would not give them the project information page. See how that just went away? So he had everything all filled out, and he had retrofit typed in here, and it wouldn't pull up that page. So he calls me asking him what the problem is. So I played with it and figured out that he had evidently typed it in, and then once I changed it, we were able to get in the tool and he was able to proceed. Business type. It's the field. You just select the item that most closely matches your space. These categories here, participant, all 3 of those could apply, or it could just be one. It could be somebody that uses the electricity, the account's in the landlord's name, and the landlord owns the building, but the person using the electricity is the one wanting to do the retrofit because they get the cost of the electricity passed to them, so they want it to be cheaper. This field here, well, this is their payee information, so this is where the check's going to, the incentive check, and it will populate either the installation address, which is the project information, or the participant address, which is the participant information, or the vendor address, which is the vendor information, or other. That's a situation where maybe they want the check mailed to a corporate office or something. So their project information and participant information is one thing, but they want the check to go here. Okay, so I think we came in about 3 minutes under the 40-minute time slot that we did on Monday. So you guys get 3 minutes of your day back, or you can ask questions. If there's no questions, then we can all get back to work on other things. I'm not hearing anybody. Okay. Well, then I'll have you guys teach the class next time since y'all picked it up so good, and we should be good to go. Thank you for all of your time today, and good luck out there finding energy efficiency projects.